Okay, dear Jehovah's Witnesses, I want you to understand something. I have been talking to a self-proclaimed Jehovah's Witness for over a week on somebody else's comment section of somebody else's video on somebody else's channel, not my own. And this person, that's probably him commenting again because I just told him a few things. But the conversation that we've been having is he's defending the organization and how good they are and trusting them in every aspect. Not doing research because Watchtower has done research for them. Well, I have a few things to say about that. Now, my history is that I went into the organization in 1968, and I left in 82, late 82. I was there before, during, and after the 1975 thing. And this is what I saw. What I saw was there were two types of people. People that listened to the organization and believed that the end of the world was coming in 1975, and those people that said, no, the world ain't going to end in 75, Watchtower's not right. Now, many of those people left. Some of them wanted to go to the elders and find out, well, you know, why are you saying that the world is going to end in 1975? I don't really feel that way. And they were disfellowshipped. Because that's what the organization was teaching then. You'd go to a district assembly, circuit assembly, you'd go to the conventions, and what they were telling people is, wow, not too long, just a couple of more years, and God's kingdom will be here. This system will be gone. Christendom will fall. And then you'd go to another convention. Oh, 9 months to go. It's almost time. And then you'd go, oh, just 2 more months. And people were counting down, just like they did in 1914. The Bible students counting down. You know, 1914's coming. Well, they were waiting. We all were waiting for 1975. So, you know, we're all looking for 1975. We saw just 500,000 witnesses leave. That was a quarter of the witnesses back then left. A quarter of them. And then there were ones that were disfellowshipped for not believing it on top of that. And what happened to the people that got disfellowshipped and left? Well, they were shunned, of course. Their family couldn't talk to them. The kids never saw their grandparents again. Families were destroyed, ripped apart. No one ever got to talk to anybody in their family again. Because Watchtower told them, you're not going to talk to the people that left because they're apostate. They're no good. They don't agree with the organization. Don't talk to them. They're as good as dead. They're going to die in Armageddon, you know, and it's coming. It's just right around the corner. You know, you're better off being a Jehovah's Witness right now. Don't leave because this system isn't going to last much longer. And if you leave now, you're doomed. You know, and people were, you know, you're scared, of course. You're like, well, you know, you've learned this all your life, so you stay in there because if you leave, you might die in Armageddon, right? So these people were clinging to the organization because that was their safety net. They had trust and faith that the organization was telling them the truth, right? That's why they call the religion the truth. Because when you get into that religion and people start telling you that it's the truth, then you quit looking. You think you found it, right? So you quit looking. That's the end. I have the truth. Don't need to hear anything else. Well, here's the rest of the scenario. So these people that were shunned and didn't see their families, their children, grandchildren, anything anymore after that, well, 1975 came. And then 1975 went. And then the society started saying, well, we might be a little bit off, or maybe our calculations aren't perfect, so it could be any day now. So Jehovah's Witnesses are just sitting there. I mean, they're waiting on the edge of their seats going, oh my God, it's got to be any day now. Because, this is what society has been telling us. This is when it's going to end. And mind you, they did that in 1914 also. But in 75, at the end of 75, 1976 came and they were like, it's got to be right now. It's got to be. It's got to be so close. There ain't no point in going to college because this system isn't going to last long enough to even finish college. That's what I was told growing up. There's no point in going to college, because the system's not going to last long enough for you to even finish. That's what I was told. So why bother? Just do field service, be a pioneer. People were selling their houses so they could go pioneering, and that's what they were going to do in the final days of this system. So, after 1976, it got to be 1978, 79. Meanwhile, all those people were shunned, right? Well, then all of a sudden, the society comes up with some more new light. Oh, well, we shouldn't start guessing years. See, in 1914, they had it down to the month and the day. And they didn't want to do that anymore. So in 75, it was just the year. And then when that year came and went, and a few years after that, they decided, well, we got to do something about it. So we're going to come up with some new light to cover over that. So they come up with new light. Well, what about those people that were disfellowshipped and left over that? They're still being shunned. They got shunned for the last 30, 40 years because they didn't think that the system was going to end in 75, but they were going against the society. What about them? When the society came up and said, oh, well, we have new light, did they apologize for getting rid of all those people from before? What about those hundreds of thousands of people that had their lives destroyed? People that were so anguished over getting shunned that they kill themselves because they didn't know how to exist in the real world. What about those people? I say the society's blood guilty. I say that those people that were so desperate and so full of anguish and pain over having been shunned and losing their families and not being able to function, and they chose to kill themselves, I say the society has those people's blood on their hands. Now, when I left in 82, back then they were, the big question was, well, do you believe that do you believe in the faithful and discreet slave? They still pretty much ask that. Well, I couldn't honestly say that I believe in the faithful and discreet slave. Sorry. After having seen what I saw and been through, and then the things that happened to me, I was like, I can't truthfully say that I do. So, I didn't think that the faithful and discreet slave was perfect. Because I already saw what they did to those other people in 75, and then I have to tell them that I think that the faithful and discreet slave is directed by Jesus, and Jesus tells them what to do and how to run the organization and take care of the sheep in the fold. I couldn't say that. Not honestly. I didn't see it. So, when I left in 82, I was disfellowshipped for not believing that. I couldn't say I did. And I didn't want to go back because I know what they do to people. So I was shunned too. Even though, most people that left, they still believe in God. They fiercely believe in God. They fiercely believe in the Bible. They trust God with their whole heart and soul. They're still Christians. Some of them that left still lived their life like they were a Jehovah's Witness, even though they weren't, because that's the way they felt, but the society calls them bad people, call them apostate. Well, I can say now that the people that are JWs today would have been called apostate 30 years ago for believing what they do now back then. Because now all of a sudden, in February 2017, all of a sudden, the faithful and discreet slave is not inspired and not infallible. That's another way, they're not perfect. Well, what about the people that were disfellowshipped for believing the faithful and discreet slave were not infallible? What about those people that had their lives destroyed and their families ripped from them and held hostage and were emotionally blackmailed? You have to come back because we have your family. You have to think like us or you're never going to talk to your family again. Now, when the society all of a sudden comes up and says that, do you think that you think they're going to apologize? That's new light, Now, do you think there's going to be any apologies for the people that 30 years ago that thought the faithful and discreet slave weren't perfect and infallible? And now all of a sudden, under new light, the society says, oh, we're not perfect and infallible. Are they going to apologize to the people that got disfellowship for thinking that way 30 years ago? No. Just push them under the bus, roll a doormat over it, and wipe their feet on the way over. They don't care. But the truth is the truth is the truth. You can't call the Bible is the truth because it was true 5,000 years ago, just as true 2,000 years ago as it is now, and another 2,000 years from now the Bible will still be just as truthful, still as believable, still as useful in everyday life, still a source of wisdom to go to for your daily living. But if the Bible is true, and it's been true, it is true, and will be true, then how come the organization wasn't true and isn't true and won't be true? How come they have new light and they're destroying families left and right, inside and outside, for believing differently then, but it's okay for the witnesses to believe that way now? That's not truth. Truth would be truth then, the same as the truth would be now, and the truth will be then. But if it was truth then, and all of a sudden it's new light and it's not true now, and it won't be true later, then it wasn't the truth then, and it's not true now. Don't you see? That's just insanity. That you can call your religion the truth, because see, there's a reason that religion is called the truth, because in your head it tells you that, hey, I have the truth, I don't have to look anymore. And then you get in there and you find out that if you don't agree with their way of thinking, that you will lose everything. You'll lose your family, you lose your kids, you lose your grandparents, you lose everything. So there's a bunch of people that are in there living a lie because they don't want to lose their families. They don't believe it. There's a lot of them in there that want to leave, but they don't leave because they'll lose their families. The shunning process does not work. It doesn't work with people. It didn't work then. It doesn't work now. It's not going to work later. It's no good. Because if they're not infallible, then what they're doing is wrong. Plain and simple. They destroyed families, generations of families, over what was the truth then but isn't the truth now. And the truth now isn't going to be the truth later. It's not. For over 100 years, it's been proven that the truth then is not the truth now. But what I'm saying is, if the Bible could be true then, and the Bible true now, and the Bible true in the future, then how come the religion isn't? They say, oh, well, it's run by imperfect men. No, it's not. You claim that it's run by Jesus. Jesus isn't imperfect. And if he's running that organization, then the truth should still be the truth. But see, Jesus isn't even running the organization. Those 7 men called the governing body, anointed members, are running the organization. And they're not perfect. They're not infallible. But you let them run your life. You let them tell you what to do, what to think, where to go, who to talk to, who not to talk to. And you let them have access to every stinking inch of your life. Not Jesus. That governing body controls your life. That's who your salvation and faith is, in that governing body, not in Jesus. Because Jesus would not do that to you. Don't you see? Following the Bible is good. Jehovah's Witnesses are there because they do believe in the Bible. And I understand that. There's a lot of good people in there, just like everywhere else. A lot of good people. No one ever talks bad about Jehovah's Witnesses. But see, the organization and the Watchtower Society is misleading them and robbing them and stealing them blind. And because they have their faith and salvation tied up in the organization, then the organization can tell them how to live their life. And I'm saying, if it wasn't the truth, if it was the truth then and it's not the truth anymore, there's something wrong with that. Because the Bible was true then, and the Bible is still true today, and the Bible will continue to be true. So if you're following the Bible and the ways of Jesus, then the truth will always be the truth. You won't have to have new light. You won't have to think differently about it every 10 to 15 years. You don't have to have new ideas and new ways of doing things and then destroy all these people and leave them in the dirt on your way by. That's wrong. Because plenty of people have been disfellowshipped and left, disassociated themselves and everything else because they're good people. And you shouldn't shun people that are good people. There's nothing wrong with their heart condition, no nothing. It's just they know that the organization is misleading them. And I can tell you, I've seen it with my own eyes. A lot of us out here have. Many of us were here before, during, and after 1975 and can tell you that. And I saw it happen during the Vietnam War too. You know, people that were running the country because they didn't want to go to the Vietnam War. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses were doing that too, escaping up to Canada, and had other Jehovah's Witnesses up there giving them a place to live so they wouldn't be drafted. But see, the society was telling them you had to be a conscientious objector. And then later on they said, well, you could do something, that where you didn't have to go and kill people. I mean, you could cook food or you could sweep floors or something like that. But all the people that actually went to prison over objecting or trying to get out of going to the draft, the society told them later on, oh, well, you didn't have to go to prison. But, at the time, the organization says, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Hey, if that's what you have to take in the name of Jesus, well, then you have to go to prison, I guess. They didn't give you any lawyer. They didn't help you or anything like that. Then later on, they blamed it on the people and said, oh, well, that was your decision to go to prison. We didn't say you had to go to prison. Oh, my God, that's verifiable, too. You can find that written down. 。  . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . . . 。 . . . 。 . . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 .
「
Yeah. And go ahead, anybody say, oh yeah, you're wrong, that's not even the way it happened. Yeah, it did, because I was there, I lived it, I saw it, I breathed it, I know exactly what happened. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. So, have fun. Say what you want to say about my video, but you people that are apologists for this organization and say this organization is everything, that you trust them so much, and if you're not a JW, you're going to die in Armageddon and you won't make it to paradise. You don't know what you're talking about. Good night. I'll feel better tomorrow.